Please welcome Congressman Chris Smith.
Thank you very much. First, let me just begin by thanking Ambassador Sam Brownback, who is an extraordinary leader in the cause of human rights in general and religious freedom in particular. I want to thank Rabbi Saperstein, the former ambassador at large, had that job before Sam, and Katrina Lantos Sweat for their great work, which is continuing unabated, and it just is making all the difference in the world. So thank you to them. When the term genocide was created in 1944 to describe the systematic destruction of a people, its author, Raphael Lemkin, explained the term by saying, it was the sort of thing Hitler did to the Jews and the Turks did to the Armenians. On ordering the invasion of Poland in 1939, Adolf Hitler said, quote, "Who after all speaks today of the annihilation of the Armenians? Never again the hope and dream and the demand that the abject cruelty of the Holocaust and the systematic destruction of the Jews by the Nazis never be allowed against anyone, anytime, or anywhere, as you all know, inspired the UN Genocide Convention. Article 2 of the UN Genocide Convention clearly states, and I quote its definition, genocide means any of the following acts committed with the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group, and points out 5 areas: killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Article 3 says even as an attempt to commit genocide or any complicity in genocide has to be punished. Communist dictatorships in the Soviet Union, China, North Korea, Cuba, Cambodia, and Ethiopia, among others, have slaughtered more than 1 million innocent people. From Sudan to the Balkans, to Ethiopia to Burma, to radical groups like Boko Haram, man's inhumanity to man knows no bounds. But then there are heroes, and there are many of them all around the world, like Chaldean Archbishop Warda of Erbil, a leader who courageously led a remnant of believers to safety and resilience, both during and after the ISIS genocide. As many of you know, China has been designated an egregious violator of religious freedom, and it's called Country of Particular Concern, or CPC, since implementation began more than 2 decades ago on Congressman Frank Wolf's historic, comprehensive, and landmark law known as the International Religious Freedom Act. Matter of fact, all of this, whether it be the Commission or the State Department's Office on Religious Freedom and the Ambassador at Large, all of it is because of the heroic work, and it had opposition, believe me, to Frank Wolf's effort, and he is the reason why that legislation is now such a landmark law. As I think many of you know, Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party have exponentially increased persecution against religious believers, including Christians. I want to do a shout out to Bob Fu, Pastor Bob Fu, for the great work that he has done. But they're also persecuting Muslims, Tibetan Buddhists, ongoing, and Falun Gong practitioners in ways not seen since Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution. Now Xi Jinping, apparently fearing the power of independent religious belief as a challenge to the Communist Party's dominance, is trying to destroy or radically transform religion into the party's slave, employing a draconian policy known as synodization. Under synodization, all religions and religious believers must comport with and aggressively promote communist ideology or else. To drive home the point, religious believers of every persuasion are harassed, arrested, jailed, and tortured. Only the compliant are left relatively unscathed. Shockingly, as it prepares to host the 2022 Winter Olympic Games, China's leader Xi Jinping is committing genocide against the Uyghur Muslims and other minorities in Xinjiang. Xi Jinping's genocide includes the forced disappearances of millions of Uyghurs into concentration camps, the forced sterilization of Uyghur women, forced abortion of their precious babies, and state abduction of Uyghur children into orphanages far from home to be reared with non-Uyghur upbringing. All of this fits the definition of genocide. The Chinese Communist Party is today systematically erasing Islam in Western China, bulldozing mosques and shrines, severely throttling all religious practice, and forcing camp detainees to renounce their faith. As many of you know, leaked documents published by the New York Times and a consortium of other journalists quote Xi Jinping shamelessly pushing his genocide, saying, "Show no mercy," and they have shown no mercy. I chaired a congressional hearing on the Beijing Genocide Olympics on May 18th and argued that it's time to either move the games to another city or country or boycott. Yesterday, I chaired another congressional hearing in the Lantos Human Rights Commission, and one witness, Guzira Alayalakan, a Kazakh Muslim woman who spent over a year in a concentration camp, gave compelling testimony, eyewitness testimony, on the use of the tiger chairs, horrific instruments of torture against Uyghur and Kazakh detainees. And she also spoke, and she broke down in tears, about the systematic rape of Uyghur women by Chinese authorities. In light of what is now known, and in solidarity with the oppressed and not the oppressor, in solidarity with the victims and not the victimizer, any and all legal and ethical means of, quote, punishing, and that's the word used in the Genocide Convention, the Chinese Communist Party for the crime of genocide needs to be pursued. Thank you, and God bless you all.